You almost do not mention it. Dinner is nearly over. 2 plates have already been carried to the kitchen. Someone is folding a paper napkin into smaller and smaller squares, and the conversation has moved to ordinary things. Then a relative asks why you have been unavailable on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. So you tell them. For 18 months after work, you have been taking night classes. You sat the final examination last week. That morning, the result arrived. You passed. For a second, the table becomes warm. Someone reaches across to squeeze your shoulder. Another person asks when the new qualification takes effect. Then one familiar voice says, "Good. Maybe now you can stop acting like you have outgrown everyone." Nobody knows whether to laugh. You smile because making the moment awkward would feel worse. The conversation moves on, but your mind does not. You replay the sentence while helping clear the table. On the way home, you wonder what you did to deserve it. An hour later, the same person sends you a private message. How much more will you earn now? That combination is easy to miss. Public reduction followed by private curiosity. One moment tries to make your growth look ugly. The next wants access to its details. You may still be tempted to explain yourself. You may write 3 paragraphs about why you took the course, how exhausted you were, and how little you think you have changed. Beneath that explanation is a quieter hope. If they understand your intention, perhaps they will give you permission to enjoy what you earned. That hope is where resentment gains leverage. Not because you are weak. Because most people would rather repair a relationship than admit that someone close to them feels disturbed by their progress. A single unpleasant sentence proves almost nothing. People speak badly when tired, insecure, distracted, or clumsy. Ordinary envy also exists. A decent person may feel a brief sting at your success and still behave fairly. What deserves attention is not one mood. It is a repeated effect. Which pattern have you excused most often? A joke that shrinks your success, sudden coldness when things go well, or questions that feel less caring than investigative? Keep your answer in mind. It may reveal where your need to preserve harmony has been overriding your judgment. Does this person keep reducing your work, changing the standard, exposing what you trusted them with, or placing small obstacles between you and the next step? Do they become warm when you are struggling and strangely sharp when you recover? Do they seem more interested in the size of your reward than the cost of earning it? Before this ends, you will have a disciplined way to separate awkwardness from resentment, concern from disguised discouragement, and private discomfort from behavior that can damage your reputation, work, money, or peace. Begin with one rule. Do not rush to name their emotion. Describe what their conduct repeatedly does. Machiavelli was not writing about family dinners, friendships, or modern workplaces. In chapter 19 of The Prince, he was examining political hatred, unstable interests, and the risks faced by rulers. His argument included an uncomfortable observation. Good conduct alone cannot guarantee that no one will become hostile. Under conflicting interests, even an action regarded as good may threaten someone's position. This was political analysis, not a psychological diagnosis. Applied carefully to modern life, it offers a limited but useful analogy. Your progress does not have to injure another person before it unsettles them. Sometimes it challenges a hierarchy they had accepted, an excuse they depended on, or a version of you that made them feel secure. Your discipline may expose how long they have delayed. Your new boundary may reveal how much they benefited from your availability. Your independence may remove the role they enjoyed playing in your life. Their reaction is still their responsibility. Yet kindness, loyalty, and hard work do not make you immune to it. The first behavior is reduction. A resentful person often avoids denying your result. Complete denial would make their bitterness visible. Instead, they rewrite the cause. You passed because the test was easier this year. You were chosen because the manager likes you. Your business improved because the market happened to turn. You became healthier because you have more free time than everyone else. You finally saved money because you do not carry real responsibilities. The achievement remains visible, but your agency is quietly removed from it. That is why reduction can be difficult to answer. Every success contains conditions you did not create. Timing matters. Help matters. Luck sometimes matters. If you deny all of that, you sound defensive. If you accept their version completely, your preparation disappears. A fair person can hold two facts at once. You received help, and you used it well. In a resentful pattern, every helpful condition becomes evidence that your effort should not count. Resist the urge to submit a full defense. A measured answer is enough. I had support and I worked hard to be ready. Then leave the sentence where it is. You are not demanding admiration. You are refusing to assist in your own reduction. Reduction often leads to a second behavior. They keep an old version of you ready for moments when the present version becomes uncomfortable. You receive recognition, and they retell the year you failed. You set a boundary, and they remind everyone how dependent you once were. You speak with confidence, and they mention the time you admitted feeling lost. The memory may be accurate. Its timing is what deserves scrutiny. People who have known you for years do not update their image of you instantly. That alone is not hostility. A harmless old story creates connection. A resentful old story restores rank. You can hear the difference in what happens after you acknowledge it. Yes, I made that mistake. It is why I built a better process. A supportive person accepts the updated meaning. Someone invested in the old hierarchy keeps dragging the story back toward humiliation. This is where your internal enemy begins to matter. You may think the danger is their story. Often, the deeper vulnerability is your need to make them agree that you have changed. You explain more. You present evidence. You reopen private history. You ask whether they are proud of you. Without noticing it, you turn your growth into an application waiting for their approval. That is the approval tax. Extra emotional labor paid to someone who benefits from keeping your confidence unsettled. You do not end that tax by becoming cold. You end it by separating recognition from permission. Someone may fail to update their picture of you. You still continue updating your conduct. But restraint alone does not protect your position. A more serious signal appears when their attitude changes with the audience. They praise you around people with influence and diminish you around peers. They speak warmly when association with you is useful, then become dismissive when generosity would offer them no social reward. Or the pattern reverses. In private, they call you talented. In a group, they turn your mistake into entertainment, because lowering you changes the balance of the room. One uneven day means little. Look for a contrast that repeats. Public praise can protect their image. Private coldness can preserve their resentment. Public mockery can protect their rank. Private warmth can preserve access to you. Observe the function rather than trying to read their mind. After the family dinner, imagine that relative behaving normally when you are alone. They ask about the course, say they always believed in you, and even offer advice. At the next gathering, someone congratulates you again. The relative smiles and says, "Do not make too much of it. It is only a certificate." The audience changes, and so does the temperature. A direct accusation will rarely help. You are jealous, ask them to confess an emotion they can deny. It also moves attention away from the conduct. A cleaner response names the moment. "You were supportive when we spoke privately. That comment sounded different. What changed?" Ask once, calmly. A sincere person may recognize the inconsistency and repair it. Someone protecting the pattern may joke, reverse blame, or accuse you of being unable to take criticism. Their answer matters. Their next behavior matters more. The third behavior arrives disguised as concern. They predict a fall whenever you rise. Be careful. People like you burn out. I hope the extra money does not change you. Qualifications do not guarantee anything. Businesses like that disappear all the time. Any one of these may be reasonable. Real friends notice risk. Good colleagues warn you before a mistake becomes expensive. Family members sometimes see strain you are trying to hide. Useful concern has shape. It identifies a specific risk, explains why it matters, and respects your ability to decide. The new schedule looks heavy. You were already sleeping badly last month. Have you planned a lighter Friday? That may be difficult to hear, but it gives you something real to examine. Resentful concern is different. It offers fear without information. It places an image of failure into your mind and calls the discomfort protection. You know how these things usually end. Ask for precision. What specific risk are you seeing? A caring person will clarify. A person transferring their anxiety may retreat into vagueness, irritation, or another personal remark. There is also a harder possibility. Both motives may exist. Someone can care about you and resent what your change means for them. Human motives are rarely tidy. You do not need a perfect verdict. You need a responsible decision about access, trust, and action. Which is more difficult for you? Hearing a warning without becoming defensive, or recognizing when repeated concern is training you to doubt yourself. That distinction decides whether your calm becomes wisdom or self-abandonment. The fourth behavior is the moving standard. Before you improve, they say you need more experience. You gain experience. Now experience is not enough. You need better connections. You build connections. Now those connections prove you did not earn anything alone. You produce results. Suddenly results are not what matters. Your attitude is. You become patient. Patience is called weakness. You become direct. Directness is called arrogance. New responsibility can justify higher expectations. Growth should bring accountability. The warning sign is not that the standard rises. It is that the standard changes selectively after you meet it, in whatever direction keeps you uncertain. Your error becomes character. Someone else's error becomes pressure. Your confidence is ego. Their confidence is leadership. Your silence is avoidance. Their silence is composure. Arguing each verdict separately will exhaust you. Ask for the standard before the result. At work, what outcome will define success, and how will it be evaluated? In a shared project, who owns each responsibility, and when will we review it? In family life, the response may be quieter. Stop auditioning under rules that change after every performance. You can consider useful feedback without making one person the permanent court of your worth. The internal enemy here is the fantasy of a final performance that will make an unfair judge fair. You keep thinking one more achievement, one more explanation, or one more act of generosity will end the doubt. It may not. A moving standard cannot provide stable approval because stable approval would end its purpose. Your task is not to win every verdict. It is to choose standards connected to reality, responsibility, and your own examined values. Then comes information hunger. The person asks detailed questions about your salary, plans, contacts, support, private doubts, or the next move you have not announced. Curiosity is normal. Close relationships require openness. Teams need relevant information. The important evidence appears later. Where does the information travel, and how does it return? You admit that the new workload feels unfamiliar. A week later, people hear that you are not coping. You share an unfinished idea. It appears in another conversation without your name. You mention that money will be tight for 2 months. During an argument, this becomes proof that the decision was irresponsible. You offered context. They converted it into narrative advantage. Do not respond by hiding everything from everyone. Total secrecy damages healthy relationships and makes cooperation impossible. Use graduated trust. Information should follow responsibility, history, and demonstrated care. A warm tone does not create an automatic right to your uncertainty. A family title, long friendship, or shared workplace does not erase the need for judgment. Before sharing, ask: does this person need the information? Have they protected similar information before? And what could happen if this detail leaves the room? This is not paranoia. It is proportion. Trust is not proved by how sympathetically someone receives your confidence. It is proved by what they do with it when using it against you would be convenient. The most consequential behavior is quiet obstruction. A message does not reach you. A deadline changes, and everyone seems to know except you. Your contribution disappears from the summary. They agree in private, then become uncertain when a decision maker enters the room. They promise support, delay it, and explain after the opportunity has passed. Any one event may be overload, confusion, weak systems, or ordinary incompetence. Missing information alone is not evidence of resentment. Use 3 checks: repetition, selectivity, and benefit. Has the same failure happened more than once? Does it affect you more than it affects others? Does the person gain status, access, relief, or control of the story when it happens? When those 3 begin to align, stop treating the situation as a personality mystery. Protect the vulnerable position. This is where a Machiavellian lens can help without becoming cruel. Machiavelli paid close attention to reputation, factions, incentives, and the difference between stated loyalty and actual conduct. The ethical modern application is not to outmaneuver everyone before they outmaneuver you. It is to stop placing important outcomes inside untested goodwill. Confirm decisions in writing. Use shared channels for critical updates. Keep a clear record of your contribution. Build direct professional relationships, rather than allowing one person to control every path to information. When something fails, describe the event without claiming to know the motive. The deadline change did not reach me, and this is the second affected task. I am adding a shared confirmation step. That sentence is strong because it does not require a confession. It closes the opening through which resentment, carelessness, or confusion could all cause damage. You do not need to prove what someone secretly feels. You need to make repeated harmful conduct less capable of shaping your life. Use the following response system when the evidence becomes difficult to ignore. First, remove the label from your notes. Write what happened without using jealous, bitter, fake, toxic, or resentful. They reduced the qualification to luck. They repeated a private concern in front of others. They excluded me from 2 updates connected to my responsibility. Specific language protects you from exaggeration and from later convincing yourself that nothing happened. Second, test alternative explanations. Were they under pressure? Was the information unclear? Do they behave this way with everyone? Did you make an assumption? Is there evidence that contradicts your interpretation? This is not giving them an excuse. It is improving the quality of your judgment. Third, compare contexts. Notice how they respond when you succeed, struggle, set a boundary, or receive attention. Notice what changes when an audience appears. Fourth, reduce unnecessary exposure. Share plans after they have structure. Keep vulnerable details with people who have earned that level of trust. Do not depend on a single person to carry information tied to your reputation, income, or responsibility. Distance must not become punishment. It is a change in design, not a performance of anger. Fifth, ask one precise question when clarification could solve the problem. When you said the qualification made me think I had outgrown everyone, what behavior were you referring to? I missed 2 updates. What process are you using to distribute them? Do not attach 10 old grievances to one question. Give the person room to clarify, repair, or reveal a pattern through the way they respond. Sixth, correct the record where the record has consequences. Not every insult deserves an answer. Respond where reputation, responsibility, money, or decisions are affected. Use facts, dates, and work. A public false statement may need a brief public correction. A private awkward remark may deserve nothing more than observation. Seventh, adjust access proportionally. A careless friend may need an honest conversation. A relative who turns every plan into guilt may receive fewer detail. A colleague who repeatedly controls information may require documented processes and wider communication. Someone who acknowledges the problem and changes should not be permanently sentenced by an old pattern. Someone who denies every event and repeats it should not keep identical access. Finally, refuse the temptation to build your identity around their resentment. Do not expose their weakness for entertainment. Do not collect private information for revenge. Do not sabotage their work to create emotional balance. Those actions would make comparison the center of your life too. Your advantage is self-command. You can notice a pattern without feeding it. You can protect your position without turning everyone into an enemy. You can accept that someone may not celebrate you and continue without begging them to explain why. Return to the dinner table. You say you passed the examination. The familiar voice replies, maybe now you can stop acting like you have outgrown everyone. The old impulse rises immediately. Explain the late nights. List the sacrifices. Promise that you have not changed. Ask what you did wrong. Trade the dignity of the moment for the possibility of making them comfortable. This time, you pause. I am proud that I finished it, you say. If I have treated you differently, tell me the specific behavior and I will consider it. Then you stop. Later, the private message arrives asking how much more you will earn. You do not answer from guilt or anger. You decide whether that information belongs in the relationship as it currently exists. Over the next few weeks, you watch without hunting for proof. You notice whether they can acknowledge your effort without canceling it. Whether private information stays private. Whether concern becomes useful. Whether standards remain stable. Whether the strange remark was one poor moment or part of a repeated design. You also examine yourself. Perhaps success made you less available. Perhaps you dismissed someone without noticing. Where evidence supports correction, you correct it. But you no longer confess to accusations without specifics. You no longer place your joy on trial merely because another person became uncomfortable. You no longer demand a hidden motive when observable behavior gives you enough information to set a measured boundary. That is the transformation. You did not become suspicious. You became harder to confuse. Which behavior will you stop excusing? Reduction. The return to your old identity. Public-private contrast. Discouragement disguised as concern. Moving standards. Misuse of information. Or quiet obstruction. Choose one. Then write the measured response you will use next time. Not revenge, not accusation, but a response that protects clarity and self-respect. If this helped you see difficult behavior without surrendering your humanity, subscribe to the Machiavelli framework for modern lessons on self-command, human nature, boundaries, reputation, and strategic judgment. You do not need everyone to feel comfortable with your growth. You need the judgment to recognize who respects it and the discipline to stop shrinking for those who do not.